Hello, this is Max Drake. I'd like to talk about the Honeycode timesheet app. This is stage two, and what we're trying to do is actually start to define the app so that it's only for a specific user, rather than as everybody generally, and then also so they can only see their own specific data. And the second thing is that we want to then start being able to filter through to actually get the information that we want, so they can drill down to get some more information. Now, two things. First of all, Bragg Legacy has become my first patron, so that's really nice. You'll see him up there somewhere being mentioned, and so that's really nice. The other thing that I just want to mention at this point in time, my daughter's running a company on medicinal products that they're doing, and they're looking for to try and create a logo. So there's a little questionnaire that she's got through there, and it's got 32 questions. Some of them are just actually moving things up, like your preferences on certain logos that there are through there. I'd appreciate it if you'd actually support me just by doing that and helping her out. The more feedback she gets, the better they'll be on that sort of a thing. So just hopping back to this app at this point in time, here we've got the actual app itself. And it's just got all the data. Now, for some reason, depending on who you log in from here, it's showing these ones all as max text. Whereas if we come into here, and I'm just going to do a little sort through here, and I'm just going to do it ascending through there, and you see there's some by Max Drake and some by Max Text. It was a bit stupid of me to actually have two names. So if you actually look at that, there's two. There's Test at PIR, and that one there is Max at PIR squared. So they're just two slightly different things. So now what I've actually done is I've just gone through and I've made this app here. Now it's called TS Filter. So all I've done is I've taken the original app, I've just duplicated it, and so it's come through as test filter. So at this point in time, I have the filter. So where we want to see the filtering occurring is where we actually have the data. So we want to go into the list through here, and if we select the list, not the little bit down here, the segment, but the overall list, we can add in the column person, which is the column in there. And now, if we just go and look at that list, you'll see that there's a lot fewer of them. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if we just go back to the other one, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 4, 6, yeah. So I then suddenly thought, well, okay, then since I'm actually filtering through there, I better go and check to see that the other ones are doing. So I thought, it's just, this is one thing with working on your own. You sort of get a bit confused and somebody just says you're an idiot. There's this thing called VirtualBox, Oracle VirtualBox, which is a free bit of software, but basically you can run a different operating system on your computer. So I've got a Windows 10 computer, but I can run Ubuntu, or I could run other Linux distros on here as well. And I'm interested in just playing around with some of those. So anyway, I'm now running, and I've fired that one up. I've got another one through there that I haven't played with. So this is where this logo is. So what I thought I'd do was I'd log in here. Unfortunately, I logged in on the same. So, and this one's a bit tedious to actually log in through here, but then I actually filtered out to check to see that it actually worked. And then this is when you actually step back and you think, and you're suddenly thinking, actually, all I need to do is go into a different browser. So I then went into a different browser and I logged in under MD. So if I now go into that browser through there and I click on that TS filter, I should only see anything to do with Max Drake, which I have. So if we just go and look back in the other one, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 ones there. So if I actually just copy that one there and I just go through and paste it into there, so now I've got 3 of those. If I go back to that other one and do a refresh, presumably there'll be lesser ones coming through there. So it's worth doing with your apps, especially if you've got the privacy thing and making sure that you really need to test a lot of them just to make sure that all of those apps are actually only showing the personal data that they needed to do. So that was one method of doing it, is one with different browsers. And the other one, this is actually quite a fun thing to do, and I'm really peeved off that I've only just found out about this recently, but this is wonderful to be able to play with a different operating system, which is handy if you're testing things out and you want to see if it happens on something else, or in fact they're quirks and other things to do. So worth a little look at sometimes. So now we've actually filtered down. So when they come into the app, and because they've come in with their password, all they're going to see is the information relating to them. So the whole app is for them. So at this point in time, just hopping back through to here, we could actually go into this app and actually save this app here and save it as a user app, because they're only seeing the information that they want. So I thought, well, that's quite good. So that's good. But we want to go to another level. They've got this information through there, but how do they process all of this information? There's quite a lot of it here, and this is just for a few days. So if you've got a month's work, it's going to disappear down the bottom, and you could search by maybe B, and it's showing you, well, it's showing a C, so something's weird there. But you can do a little bit of filtering there, but not very much. Say you wanted to change something. So I went through to the next one, and what you can do, there's a little, I'll put the links through to this. There's one, creating a list. How to create a list with a filter. So here's a Honeycode community. I'll do a link through to the thing, and it says that you use the column list. So let's go through and use the column list. So if we come back to there, I just go into my objects through here, and I go column list. Boom. Says insert a column list. So it's going and looking at the T table, which is where we want, and then it says, what do you want to see on your column list? So I want to see the totals, and I want to see the comments. I want to see anything that I can alter in a way. I could most probably do without the subtotals, but I'll leave it in there just for this point in time, just for the exercise. So I click off inside the box. Don't go and click off, or it just disappears again. Then we want to actually allow the user to filter the list. So we want to filter by what? Now we want to filter by the project name, and maybe want to filter by the date. We could add other filters into there at this point in time, but this is the way that I do it. So if we now go and create that, it will create something at the bottom. So here's my original app, and here's this other little interface. Now it's got this thing saying, don't do anything about that one, so leave it alone. And then it's got these two filter boxes through here, and then it's got basically pretty much the same sort of table as to what's up here. So now let's just go and look at that on there. So when we look at that, you'll see that we've just got this filter through here, and nada, nothing shown down here. Now if I just go to click on the filter and select, say, A, why doesn't that show me anything? That should be showing me lots of results going through there, and I can't understand why that's not doing that. So let's just go back into there. That's got the project name, and that's got that, and that should have filter, and here's the formula at the top here that we're looking at, this project name, or that, and it's not doing anything. I will just at this point in time, this may be something through here that I'm going to add person into here that may change something through there. It wasn't doing that before. Now if we go into A, it's still not doing that. Why isn't that doing that at all? That is very strange. Let's just refresh that, but it's showing that, so it should be showing me all the data coming through there. I've broken it. Oh, there it's come through. Now this is an issue. If I just go back a step through there, and I'm just going to click on that overall, and I'm going to leave that out. One of the things when you actually build it first off, and I'm just going to go and do a refresh on that. Odd that it doesn't, it needs to have a refresh there. And if we go down to there, it actually shows up here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now this is something I only just found out here, and I thought, oh, now at the moment let's just carry on with the filter bit through here, because I'll tell the rest of the story later. So we're going to choose an option, and we're going to select B, and then suddenly it's only going to filter by B. So whatever B's are through there, and then we want to filter by A, and we'll only see the A through there. So I'm this person here, Max Test, which is the one through here, and of all of my information, only things relating to this project are shown through here. And I've got all of this information through there. Now I want to do it by date. So let's find a date. Now, unfortunately, you just watch this. There's something a bit buggy with this. So we're going to do 15-Jul-20. Now, if I go enter, it creates another line, which is not what I need to do. You've got to just click out of there. Then it does the date like that. So it's now only showing me anything to do with the 15th, and which is A. Now let's just say I'm taking off no selection through there. So anything to do with the 15th, come back here, you, and on that date. Now I'm going to click on the date box here again, and I'm going to go to the 13th because I think there is one in there. And you see this date number's changed, and that's gone buggy again. Now I am in Chrome, which it says that I'm supposed to be good and behaving in Chrome. Now I haven't tested this out on an app on my mobile yet, but it's a bit odd. So it isn't quite working as elegant as what we want. And this filtering is also just filtering a specific date, which is not what we want. We want to have a start date and an end date. So we want to bound the date so that we can get a specific bit of information through there. So how do we do that? So what I'm just going to go through here is that I'm just going to go through and I'm going to blow that block away. I don't think it's going to let me undo those things. Might. Oh, there, good. That's brilliant. That's far easier. I find going in and selecting these blocks and doing delete quite hard work. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to go through and do a column list. No, sorry, before we do that, we just go back to our table. Now, in our table, what we want is we want a start date and the end date. So I suppose, and when we come through and click on those buttons, you're only given, it only lets you do one column. So what I've ended up doing, I'm just going to delete that one there. Delete that table column. What I've done is that I've now selected that. I've said this column is equal to this column here, and I've actually just selected the whole thing, got it format, and put that formula into there and applied. So I've got two dates. I know that one's called date 1 and that's called date 2. So now I can say for date 1 on or before this, on date 2, on or after that date, or whatever, etc., etc., etc. So we come back to our app again. We're going to column list it again through here. We're now going to select the things that we want. You're just going to drop subtotal off just to make it a little bit tidier through there. And we're going to have those objects through there. That's fine. Oh, blast, you see, I've clicked out of the wrong place of the screen. So we're going to come through here and we're just going to take that off and we're going to add that and that. Click inside there. We're going to allow users to filter, and we're now going to filter by project name, start date, which was date, and then date 2. So now we can bound them. So when we come through, and now we're going to create our app again. So it's gone and created that bit there, so that's really cool. So the first thing that we've got to remember is to click onto that, and we're going to make it so that it's specific to the specific person who logs in. So that means it's that point of view. Now we've got the issue of the date and the date filter through here. So if we come to this area here, we've got this formula all the way through here. So what I basically do is I just take it, because I find fiddling inside here quite a pain. So I've actually just gone into here and I just cut and paste it, and I'm just using Notepad++. You could use Word, you could use other things. Don't really like Word because it starts formatting things through there. So what we've actually got, if we just read through, unfortunately it's not that clear. I could do a zooming in. Control 2. Control 1, I think it is. Oh no, that's not on. I haven't got that far started. Oh, there we are. We go into there, but I've just clicked on the wrong bit there. So if I go into there and no, wrong area. I've got to select there and then go Control 1. We can then, whoa, that's not really helping us. Let's just read through this. It's actually saying we've got this function called a filter. And it's doing this filter onto the table. Now, on the table 1, the project name, we want that to be equal to the project name filter. So that could be the ABC, or else the project name can be empty. So we don't necessarily have to filter by that at all. And date needs to be a date filter, or the date filter be empty, and then date 2 could be the date filter, or the date filter can be empty as well. What we can say is we can actually have that, I think we'll just see if this works, larger than or equal to, and we can put this one, I I don't know if it's equal to and less than or then, but let's just put it through to there and let's just see if that works. It doesn't like that. So what we'll actually do, I'm not too sure which way that works, whether it's going to be less than or equal to. And it likes it. So we got the little blue dot through there, so it's happy with that. So what we're saying is we want to filter by certain dates. So one's a lower date than the other one. So let's go and test that out now. So we're going into that one, and since we're a bit nervy about what this thing's doing, we're going to now, we're not going to select an option of filtering by the project name. We're going to filter by this, and we're going to filter after on the 11th or after. So 11th of July. I wonder if I just move out, will it actually do that? It does that. Fantastic. So it's done the 11th of July. Oh, no, it's actually got the one that I want. And stop doing that, you. So 11th of July, and then we'll say 15th. I wonder if I just click that, whether it'll actually do it. No, it doesn't like that. I'm actually going to put in the July through there. And now there. So it's now filtered and given us from the 11th through to the 15th. So if we actually go and change that to maybe the 12th or 13th, actually. Let's go to the 13th because there's nothing in the filter. So that means it's got a filter afterwards. And we're going to go to the 16th there. And let's see what happens there. And so it's showing the 16th and less. And it's showing anything after the 13th, which we have got a 13th, so it goes from 12th to the 14th. So that's fantastic, we do that. So that's really interesting. But then we come to another one. So here I want to go and edit this. Can't edit the blooming thing. Can't edit this. All this is a list. So it's given me a list of the data, but I can't edit it. So that's no bloody use to me at all, is it? So there's a little bit of an issue with that. So the other thing is that we're suddenly saying, oh, it's the C on the whatever. There's no unique identifier. If we just pop into the other one here and we say, I want to delete a specific row, this one is based on, look, there's lots of B's and C's. Which ones are we actually doing? There's no unique identifier on that one either, if we're trying to find out to see if it's the correct one or not. So how can we do that? Well, a way that we can do it is to give each line or each row a unique identifier. So how do we do that? So what we can do going through here and after that, so if I just go and do that by date, I think, as to how it was all putting in, we do it ascending through there. It's got several, did I do it by ascending? Get into ascending. Okay. No, because that one's there, so we've got to cancel that. Oh, it won't let me. I'll clear. So I'll sort of interface there. Clear to that one. So hopefully it's not filtering by that. So now it's filtering by date. So what I've done on here is I've just gone through and looked at some formulas through here, and I've actually just worked it all out. So I've actually say, give me the row number. Because the row number starts at 1 and it's got the headers through there, I've just said, give me the row number minus 1. And then I've said, convert that into text. So it's now converted it into a text number, and you have to put the formatting of the text, and I'm just saying format it as that sort of thing. Then give me a dash in between, then give me the project name, then give me another dash, and then give me the date, text by date, and then put it into this format, day, month, year. And then I've said concatenate that. So basically, they've got a project, I've got the number of the row, and I've got the date. So that should give me a unique identifier, because you're rarely ever putting two lots of stuff in. You could actually, so you know, I'm suddenly saying by project, but you can make that unique identifier a bit better. So now, once you've got a unique identifier, you can then add that, which I haven't done it at this particular point through here, but you could add that to your search through here. And you could also add it at the top through here, which I haven't. You'd have to rebuild the app in a way. And then when you actually wanted to go through and alter something, and you found a particular project or something that you an identifier that you wanted to do, you would actually have that unique identifier on the side that when you came through here, you could most probably start typing in that unique identifier, something like one dash, what was one dash? Let's see which one that is on the 11th. That should be the 9th one that is doing. Let's just go back into there again. 1-B-09. So I wonder if that filtering 1-B- and it's not doing it because it must be looking up that first column. So that's something to be aware of. So and it hasn't got those other things through there as well. So I don't know if you can just do the 9th of Jan. Oh, those come through there. So maybe that's the way that you actually do some of the dating through that as well if you're trying to do some filtering. But if you've got a whole lot of activities on one day, you've got to do one lot of filtering and then another lot of filtering. Then you could go through and in here, I can edit those. So in there, I can actually change those numbers along. So I can put the total as 4 or something like that. And I can re-edit my comment into something else. So in here I can edit, in here I can't edit. So once I've done that through there, oops, sorry, if I go back to the other one, hopefully that will update. Oh, it has. So there's that through there. So if I just go 3, us, and them, whatever, just something that makes sense, and it's updating through there. So that's the way that you can do that. So that came as a bit of surprise. I suddenly thought, oh, cool, I can filter that. So what I actually thought is, because this is basically replicating what's above, I could delete these 2 panels through here. But you can't, because in here, we made these somewhere along the line. I think it's inside that is editable. Oh, I wonder if I can do that inside that then. That's just, oh no, there's, so I'm wrong. Please forgive me. By the look of it, if I can actually grab that data cell, I can actually make that editable. So in fact, if I make all of those editable, I don't need that unique identifier. I can actually edit in there. So that's brilliant. There, I'm confusing myself. This is this thing with their data cell. And if we make that editable. So if we've got that editable through there I was trying to solve a problem that didn't need to be solved. And I come through there and I refresh those now. And I suddenly say, so this one here is 3 of us, and this one here is painting bricks. So I can do that. So in which case, this is brilliant. So I'm back to where I was before that I was quite excited about, is that I can now go up to the top of this one here, and I can take that whole block out and delete that. Delete it. We don't care. We don't want you. And, oh, what's happened there? Oh, I'm just going to undo that. I've deleted the whole. This is a bit scary as well. When you select on here, there's part of it that selects the whole screen. And I don't want to do that. I actually only want to select that part there and delete that. So that's what got me into trouble there. So now I've actually got that so that if I just go and view that now, yes, if I just view that, I've just got my filter up there and it hides if I don't want it. And I've just got all the values through here that I can actually just come and play with. So that's marvelous. So it makes it a cleaner, simpler app. I thought I was going to have to get all complicated. So from that time, please forget that last one. We don't need to have a unique identifier. Although it might be useful to actually have a unique identifier in your timesheet anyway, just to make sure that your data rows are coming across. And it's a good double check if you're sending it out through something else, you actually have something that can link across through those. So that may not be particularly sophisticated, and there may be their potential for them. So you may actually want to add the name onto it, or add something else onto it, some other things that, if you add the comment, which would most probably be, although again, if that's a pig list and that may be preliminary or develop design or something like that, that could, but you could carry on, or in fact you could most probably do a random through there to actually give it something to allow that to happen. So that's further down the track when you're actually moving that data across into another database or another spreadsheet somewhere else where it's going to be processed, that you just need to make sure that those linkages are coming across quite well. But that's made for that cleaner app. We can now come through and edit all of these things as we want, and I'm very pleased with that. I sort of made it more complicated than what it needs to be. So that next phase of the thing, we've now got it filtering, and we can now edit our own personal stuff. Now the next thing is, do we add some more things through? I'm not going to go through the aesthetics because everybody else will have their own preference of how they build these sorts of things. But there's a few additional things that we want to suddenly do. Do we only want to keep this thing going fast? Do we want to take the data and go and put it all before a specific date into something else? Do we want to start rounding up the amount of time that we're spending on certain things? Now, somebody, I asked a question with some people, and I was suddenly saying, how do you get the subtotal when you've got the start time and the end time, and then my lunch is by number through here? So it's not through that. And they said, make that a time variable, make that a time variable, and make that a time variable. It doesn't work if you actually, because if you go and put your lunch at 0 hours, what that does is it goes back to 12 midnight. So you get 12 double coded, so you get 12 double coded 000. So you don't get zeros. So you'd actually, if you wanted to use that time thing, you'd most probably actually have to then go in and put a formula that would just say, if it's 0, which it converts to 12 o'clock, you then make it 000, so 0 hours, 0 minutes, and maybe 1 second. And then that way you'll just get the 0 coming through there. So that's another way of doing it. But I just went for the fractional for these. I just found that easier. So I hope that's been of interest to you. Again, thank you very much, Bragg Legacy, for signing up and being a patron. And again, if people could consider doing my daughter's or a farm logo design survey, 32 questions, I'd very much appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that's been of interest to you. If you like it, can you give a thumbs up? Otherwise, Ot Panyaha, which is Cambodian for it's not a worry. Oops.